Hello world, my name is Dan Ominator. Sorry, it seems you've caught me in the middle of playing some... Alright, I need you all to understand something real quick, okay? I can't be normal about this game. Trust me, I have tried, but over the 15 plus hours I've spent with Dench Attack, I straight up have found I just cannot have any chill when it comes to this game. Mostly because the game can't be chill about its own existence for 5 seconds. This game is firing on all cylinders from beginning to end, and I've spent so much time playing it with this big goofy smile on my face. I can't put it away. This has just been here for the past week. Now I know you guys have seen a lot of people gushing about this game and some sponsored reviews and all of that stuff, but I'm sorry, I need to talk about this game or I'm going to explode. I know what you're thinking, Dan, what are you doing? Everybody's already talked about Dench Attack. Dench Attack is the only thing that people can seem to talk about lately. You have nothing original to contribute to this conversation. No, wrong. You're dust now. This game has genuinely revitalized my love for video games as a whole, and man, it is so good to feel that again, because frankly, I haven't felt it in about 5 years. My previous favorite game of all time was Mad Rat Dead, a game with so much style and flow and substance that I just could not put it down for a long time, and even now, I still come back to it to this day. So for a game to come along right when the industry needed it, frankly, and completely flip my favorite game of all time on its head, yeah, that's a pretty big deal. So if you'll just sit with me for a few minutes, I want to talk about what I love so much about this game and why it personally works for me so well. Because I'm gonna be honest, this thing has been a challenge for me to play, and it's not completely perfect. It's got a couple of bugs, I've had a couple crashes on the Steam Deck, but I don't care. This is the kind of game that is so good, has such a perfect gameplay loop and sense of flow, that I'm willing to look past a few things and hope that there'll be patches in the future. I don't think I need to tell you guys that the gaming industry has been pretty disgusting as of late, especially over the last few years. So again, for a team with this much talent and love behind what they do to create something like this right when the industry needed it is just so poetic. And of course I was going to talk about it because, in case it wasn't obvious by now, I like trains. Yeah, that checks out. It was only a matter of time. This is not the first video I expected to be making with my brand new camera, but I don't care. I can't wait anymore. So we're just going for it, all right? Dench Attack review, roll it. So the game centers around this ramen delivery girl, Emi, in Beppu in Japan, and she is the craziest thrill seeker I've ever seen. This character is honestly the heart of this game, and I want to come back to that in a minute because I think her personality is one of the things that makes it work so well. Anyway, while on a ramen delivery, she meets this guy named Fernando who tells her about Dench Attack, and about 30 seconds after hearing it, she's already ready to change career tracks. So she hangs up the apron and drops everything to learn Dench Attack, and she never delivers ramen again. I'm lying to you. Now you have to play the game to figure out what I'm talking about. And to be honest, there's really not much else to the story besides that. Emi is just this unstoppable ball of energy who is constantly seeking the next thrill, and because she's going through this journey of getting better and better at Dench Attack, learning new skills, which also equals your journey as a player, she ends up just casually defeating all of the gang bosses throughout Japan. I love the cast of characters that Emi ends up recruiting over the course of the game. They add so much personality, and they all feel so distinct and unique. They all each have their own theme, their personality, and their own stories to share. We don't see quite as much of it because the game is constantly moving on to the next stage. It's all about the gameplay here, and the story is just slowly pushing it forward to the next direction that you need to go, per se. I love these characters, and especially Emi. I would love to see more about her and her personality. She doesn't really have a lot of weak points throughout the story, only setbacks. I've actually seen a couple reviews argue that there really didn't need to be a story in this game, but I completely disagree. I would have loved to see even more of these guys, more potentially animated cutscenes, more voice lines maybe, but again, this is an incredibly solid indie game for 20 bucks, man, and oh boy, we'll get into the pricing later because I just cannot believe how much game there is here. And that brings us to the game's title, Dench Attack, which isn't just a name, it's the competitive sport held across all of Japan by rebels who essentially do whatever they want. If I was a ramen delivery guy and somebody just walked up to me one day and said, "Your train can do kickflips," then I think I'd be pretty quick to make a career change too. Especially when the gameplay style is so fluid once you get the hang of it, it's enough to make you think, oh my gosh, I think I like skateboarding games now. The game's control scheme is essentially split right in half, so think about it this way. The left stick is used to move your train from rail to rail, including in midair. The left bumper is used to initiate a drift, which is how you get around corners, so the left side is all movement. The right control stick is used to start tricks when you're in midair, and the right bumper is used to start a jump, which will allow you to do tricks. And once you get those basics figured out, the game's atmosphere takes itself completely over you, and you get lost in the vibes until you eventually lose your score from a really, really dumb mistake. This is the kind of game where its risk and reward system is everything. Once you learn how to do manuals with your train, again, I know, it's a skateboarding thing, it terrifies me too, you eventually find yourself building up combos so that your score doesn't eventually drop. However, if you crash your train at any point, you lose everything. And that is the perfect system that makes Dench Attack so satisfying to figure out. You are constantly making micro decisions whether or not to be risky, whether or not to do a trick on a straight track, when to move your train from place to place. There is always something going on. And speaking of that, can we talk about how this is all happening on a game which is literally on rails? Dench Attack has found a way to make a train game so engaging because you are constantly moving on to the next thing, and sometimes just leaving the tracks is enough to make things more exciting. And what backs all of it up and keeps me coming back is the visuals for each level and the soundtrack. Man, I wish I could tell you all of these artists, but no, I'm gonna make you buy the game so that you can hear all these bangers for yourself. They are that good. When I saw the lineup for the artists that were working on this game and realized how many of them I've been subscribed to and listening to their music for years, including indie artists on YouTube, I was floored. These guys scoured the internet for talent everywhere, and it completely shows. T. Lopes is a big player in this soundtrack. As a matter of fact, he headed up the direction for it, but man, there are so many talented artists working on this. No AI use, just bangers all around. There is not a single bad song in this OST. And again with the visuals, man, I don't even know what to say. This is basically a lost PS2 game, and I love it for that. There is absolutely no sense of realism here. The universe completely centers around kick-flipping trains, for crying out loud. So of course the visuals are going to be as cartoonish and stylistic as possible, and it pays itself off almost immediately within the first few minutes of the game. There is so much lovely 2D art of these characters, and of course the 3D stuff is really impressive as well. You don't actually see 3D models of the characters as often, which I guess you could chalk up to a bit of budget saving constraints, but no, I don't think it has anything to do with that. All of the budget went into making these trains look as sick as possible. There are some really cool engines in here, but the way that they're animated is what makes them so engaging to play around with. The way that they blur around when they spin, the 2D visuals that show up when you're doing really well during gameplay, the constant Japanese text popping in and out, there is just so much action on screen, and to be fair, it can be a little much at times, but the game's visual language keeps the train front and center at all times, so even when it's hard to play a level because of how much stuff is going on, you still have a focal point to fixate on, which I think is what works so well for me. As you guys know, fast visuals can be a lot for a guy like Dan. I can only handle so much at once, but something about the way that this game puts everything together so cohesively never made me feel so overwhelmed that I couldn't keep going. And nothing pushes that encouraging feeling more than Emmy's personality. Anytime you crash a train, one of the characters that has joined up with you will speak up about how you're doing. But for a while, it's just you, Emmy, and Fernando on this journey, so anytime you crash, you're hearing her or Fernando pushing you to keep going forward. And now that I think about it, the Sonic inspiration feels really strong here. Imagine you're playing a really difficult level in Sonic Unleashed and everything is terrible, constantly dying, falling off the ledge, trying to react to everything in time. It can be frustrating, but the moment you pull off one of those button combos midair, or hear Sonic go, "Feeling good," that pushes you forward. I know we like to meme on it all nowadays, but genuinely, that feeling of the main character encouraging you to move forward just as much as you are with your own determination, that I feel is an under-respected element of these games. Emmy and all of the characters that join you, or well, most of them anyway, are also just as encouraging, and I think that that is so important in a game that can be genuinely challenging and Some might even say a little too fast. The game is constantly making you feel good when you do something right, and rarely punishing you when you do something wrong. Yes, you lose your combo score, but you don't get sent back all the way to the beginning of the stage. You usually have a lot of checkpoints around each level, so even if you're struggling with a game like this, you can still make it through the story relatively easily as long as you learn how each stage is laid out. And once you finish the stage, you can come back and do whatever you want until you get the highest score or the highest combo and finish all of the dares within each stage. And that's another thing that I really like about this game's structure, the scoring system. A lot of games have you do this kind of completionist thing where you have to complete everything they expect you to do in a level all at once or you don't get a good rank. Dench Attack essentially says nuts to that. You can complete any challenge in any order, get a high score whenever you feel like it, go for the best time whenever you feel like it, and that adds so much replay value. I mean, again, I've put about 15 plus hours into this thing already, and this is how many gold ranks I've gotten. Yeah. That said, this is my highest score in one of the trick parts. I'm challenging you. You will not defeat me. I won't let you. I could go on and on for hours about this game, but really, I just need you to play it for yourself. Unfortunately, the demo is no longer available, but I'd like to point out that everything I've just told you about is available for less than $20 right now. I feel like I've played a $40 game. This feels like a total ripoff in their favor. And again, these are the developers who decided to make multi-track drifting a game mechanic. This thing needs to be experienced for yourself. To everyone at Undercoders and Fireshine Games, thank you. Thank you so much for this experience. I have had so much fun with Dench Attack to the point where I can barely think about anything else going on in the industry anymore. I've been saying this for years, but indie is our future. Original projects made by people who love making games are our future. And Dench Attack is essentially the epitome of that. It's been a while since I played a game that feels so proud of its style, gameplay, and culture as this one is. This game got me to care about Japanese culture, for crying out loud. I'm an American, we're uncultured by default, but that sense, that feeling of a crew that genuinely loved their world and wanted to share a piece of it through this game never left me from start to finish. Admittedly, I've been a little disheartened with the industry as of late. I mean, you know what's been going on. Almost every mega corporation has a bad piece of news tied to them over the last few months, but it doesn't matter. I have barely thought about it for the past week because I've been so enthralled with Dench Attack. And man, that's all considering the indie space is pretty flooded right now. There are so many great games coming out from other individual teams that absolutely love what they do. Without using AI, without hooking up with some big mega corporation, they're just doing their own thing, and they're still managing to find success with it. Obviously, that's not a universal story, it doesn't work out for everyone, but whenever I get the chance to see a game succeed, I want it to be something like this. I am genuinely so thankful that this game came out when it did, and I'm even more proud to say it's now my favorite game of all time in the current year. That's insane to me. What I'm trying to say is that Dench Attack took a dying industry by the lungs and created something really special, and I hope it's something that you can all enjoy as well. I know there's a lot of great games coming out right now, but if you get a chance to stop at the station, give this one a look. I don't think you'll be disappointed, and if for some reason you are, you can attack me with a kick-flipping train. I don't care. I'll block it. But I can't let this video distract me any longer from all of the gold ranks I haven't gotten yet, so I'm gonna set you all loose to play Dench Attack for yourselves. Until my next video, this is Denominator, signing off. See you later, Ominators. I breathe Dench Attack now. What do you want from me?